Well, June is Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month. And joining us today, she is the program manager with the Alzheimer's Association in Northwest Ohio, Marybeth Torsell, to talk about some of this awareness and what we should know. And there's some good tips. So thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
Unfortunately, we keep, building the numbers of people who have Alzheimer's and dementia, right?
Yeah, we're up to 7 million nationwide that have Alzheimer's, I think, and dementia.
Wow, all right. So we need to try to be aware of this, and this month is kind of going to raise awareness about that. So what are some suggestions that you have to take, I guess we're going to try to take charge of our brain health?
Yeah, I mean, there are things that you can do. There's no one thing that causes Alzheimer's, but there are several risk factors that combined can cause Alzheimer's, and a lot of those can be, the risk factors can be lessened by just doing healthy things, eating healthy, exercising, wearing a helmet, protecting your head. Head injuries can lead to an increased risk, getting sleep, things that we all know that we should be doing anyway, but it's a good reminder.
All right. So those healthy habits, that's kind of like the first one that we have. How do you know about warning signs and such? Is that some of the things we should learn?
Yeah, there are 10 warning signs that we have education programs on, or you can go to our website. But there are things that you can look for. Memory loss. Age is the greatest risk factor. The older you get, the more likely you are to develop it. But it's not a normal part of aging. So forgetting something, losing your car keys and not being able to find it, that's not normal. If you lose your car keys, but you can retrace your steps and find them, then you're okay.
All right.
But there are particular warning signs that, we look for.
And I think that's a good point, that lots of times we're like, oh, we're just getting older, so no big deal. But some of that stuff is not normal.
It's not normal, and it's so frustrating. People will finally go to the doctors, to talk about their concerns, and the doctor's like, oh, it's just normal.
Yeah, that drives me nuts.
But it's not.
Yeah.
It's not normal.
Yeah, all right. So we got to be proactive about that kind of stuff, too.
Yes.
All right. And speaking of proactive, addressing our memory and thinking problems, we got to be proactive about that.
Yeah, if you're concerned about yourself or a loved one, definitely talk to your doctor. And if they tell you it's normal, don't worry about it. I mean, if it's not normal for you, then it's something to push, and it's something to to try to keep going further to get a diagnosis.
Are there specialists out there? I mean, if you start with your normal primary care doctor, but then there are specialists, I assume.
Yes, neurologist, gerontologist, any of those doctors, more formal doctors that study more of the brain can help diagnose Alzheimer's.
Are we at a point where there are some medications also for this? Or?
Yes. We're finally to the point where we have a treatment that slows down the progression. Nothing will cure it. There's no cure yet. But there is a new infusion that is given that can slow down the progression of it, but you have to catch it really early, which is why it's important to get a diagnosis, because it has to be very early stage.
All right. I guess that is some bright news right there, because we want a cure eventually, and research continues, and they're looking at all different things, right?
They are, and I think there's been actually in the last 3 years, there's been several infusions that have been released. So I feel like we're going to just keep continually seeing more and more.
And I assume another thing we can do is we can help out, volunteer, raise funds. I mean, all those kind of things. Yeah,
volunteering actually is one of the ways to help reduce your risk of developing Alzheimer's, because it's helping you with social engagement. It's helping keeping you active. It's keeping your brain active. So all of those things can help. So volunteering, having a team for the Walk to End Alzheimer's, that raises money for fundraising or for research. So those types of things definitely are needed.
Right, yeah. Are there certain, ethnic categories or age groups or whatever that we really should be keeping in mind?
Yes, like I said, age is the greatest risk factor. So every 5 years after 65, your risk doubles. So I know, it's kind of scary. Like, happy birthday, you're 70, you just doubled your risk. So that age definitely, and then African Americans are twice as likely to develop Alzheimer's than white people, and Hispanics are 1.5 times more likely. So those populations of people, we see greater numbers of Alzheimer's.
Has there been a correlation, like if someone in your family has it, that you're more likely? Have we come that far in research and know for sure, or what?
Yeah, so there is a life, a component of that, family history, just like with heart disease. If you're, my dad has heart disease, so I'm more likely to develop heart disease, but it's not a guarantee. If you do other things to keep yourself healthy, like some of the 10 healthy habits, you're, even with a family history, you can still help reduce your risk.
All right, and I notice you're wearing purple, so this month it's purple, right?
Yes,
to raise awareness, so wear more purple for June and help out the brain health and Alzheimer's disease. Yeah, all right, very good. Well, good stuff. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you.